right, everyone. Welcome to what we're calling today the Limitless CEO. So I want to start before I dive in saying like this is going to be a lot different. This is going to be a lot different than if you've been on the previous State of the Unions that Jordan's done. This is not going to be a strategy call. It's not going to be a tactics call. It's not going to be a call about doing more. I hope you leave this call feeling refreshed, knowing, oh man, everything Erin just said is completely within my control. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but I do hope you leave this call going, okay, not like, one more thing I have to do. Today is a lot about who you are being while you are trying to build the business and ultimately life that you really want. Because so many people, they fail in business, and it's never due to lack of knowledge. They fail because their identity collapses under pressure. If you ever felt like, dude, the pressure of this business, the pressure of being solely responsible for the leads, for maybe the people on my team, I have to feed their families, like this pressure, how do I handle this pressure? If you've ever felt like that, you are in the right conversation. That's what we're talking about today. So I want to start here by saying, this is hard. This is really fucking hard. I don't want to sugarcoat it for you. Entrepreneurship is going to test you in ways that nothing else in your life ever will. It's going to be one of the most emotionally demanding things that you have ever done, and that I truly believe that any human can choose to do. Entrepreneurship, it's not for the weak. It tests your confidence, your patience, your nervous system, your self-worth. And I think what's hardest about this is nobody gets it. No one understands. Unless you've done it, you're not going to get it. Your friends are not going to understand. Your family's not going to understand. Even to this day, I've been an entrepreneur for 13 years, and my mom does this thing all of the time where anytime she sees me during the workday, because she's here, she's nanny to our kids, she'll go, "Are you busy?" I'm like, "Mom, I am always busy. There is always something going on in my brain." The life of a business owner. But she doesn't have that perspective. She thinks if I'm not directly in front of Zoom doing the thing, my brain is going like la da da do 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 do. They just don't get it, and they never will, and that's okay, right? But that's a big reason why it feels really heavy, because you think you're crazy. You're like, why won't my brain turn off? Why am I questioning myself? Why is my confidence lacking? Why is this activating me so much? Why am I mad? Why do I want to cry? Why am I questioning my self-worth? It's not because you're broken. It's because you're doing something really hard. So I think when we start there, and that's the baseline, everything else gets a little bit easier, what I'm about to say. So it's hard. And most people, most coaches, they just quit. They just throw in the towel. I have to bring the chat up because that's my favorite part about these things. And I know you guys are having fun in there. Okay. Most coaches quit. And it's not because they're not talented. They quit because they can't handle it. Because they're operating from a version of themselves that just literally can't handle the pressure of what they're trying to create. And no one really tells you that part. What you hear is, oh, just gotta stay consistent. You gotta post more. You gotta tweak your offer. You gotta put in the reps. But no one really talks about the identity shift that has to happen under doing that stuff, right? You can't build a new life and a new business while remaining the same person. And you don't need better tactics. You need a stronger identity. If tactics were the problem, everyone in this room would be where they want to be, right? You have that. You have trainings, you have frameworks, you have systems, you have playbooks. The real issue, it's not what you are doing, it's who you are being when things get uncomfortable. Because when pressure hits, we don't rise to our goals. I wish it were that easy. I wish we could all just have a call here and be like, hey, what are your 2026 goals? Little goal setting workshop, and we go do them. Doesn't work like that. When pressure is applied, we don't rise to the goals. We fall back on our identity. So you need a stronger identity. That's what this call is going to be about today. How do we work on that thing? And what I want this to be is an identity reset. I want it to be a pattern interrupt. This isn't going to be a lot of hype I throw at you. I really want this to be clarity. We're going to talk about patterns you keep repeating, beliefs that you're operating from. And I hope this is like 30 minutes, and then I can allow the floor for you guys to like share some personal things you're dealing with, and we can, work through some of it. Beliefs you're operating from and traits required to actually lead the business long term. It's about becoming the kind of CEO who stays grounded under pressure, takes action even when there is a lot of fear, and they stop self-sabotaging when things start working, because whether you recognize it or not, you do that. We all do that. And this work that I'm talking about right now, this is what most people avoid. And since most people avoid it, this is why it's going to work for us, right? The 1% are willing to do what I'm going to talk about today. This really helps you and allows you to return to a version of you that can lead. And we'll talk about what a true leader means too. So you're not stuck because you don't know what to do. You're stuck because you keep returning to the same patterns, right? You do not lack information. Most of the time, you know what you need to do. You need to do the things, right? You need to post consistently. You need to have hard conversations with clients or with team members. You need to follow up in whatever capacity that looks like. You need to take this uncomfortable action. But knowing what to do and knowing actually how to do it are two really different things. And what keeps pulling you back is never lack of strategy. It's the familiar patterns that you just haven't outgrown yet. There's a reason you stop when you should go. And here's one of those reasons, and we'll get into a few of them. Motion feels productive. Action creates results. Some of you guys have probably heard us talk about the difference between motion versus action before. And so many coaches, CEOs, business owners get stuck in this loop because motion, it feels good. It feels like you're being super responsible. It feels like you're making progress, but motion is often just a way to stay busy without risking the discomfort. I'm going to explain this on the next slide too, but action's a lot different than that. Action requires you to expose yourself. Action requires vulnerability. Action usually requires emotional regulation. And that is why we oftentimes avoid the actions. Motion, as examples, right? Planning, tweaking, learning, preparing. So outlining a content piece for 4 hours that sometimes you never post because you're like, it was never the way like I wanted it to, or just like overdoing it, right? Outlining, motion, feeling really good about it, worked on this thing for 4 hours. You could have taken action way sooner than that. That's motion. Reworking something that's already good enough, whether that's your offer or the content or, anything that you could just start getting some reps. Consuming more information instead of executing, that's motion. Action is doing the thing, posting it, selling it, following up, being seen, posting when you're scared, selling when you might hear someone say no, being visible when your nervous system really wants to hide. And people avoid these things, not because they're lazy, but because these things threaten their identity. What if you post your sales post and someone out there thinks, oh my God, they're a scammer, they're just trying to make money? That's a big threat to identity. Right? And there are levels of this at every stage of business. If you think, oh, everything she's talking about right now, I've worked through, I've gotten over, no, you have not. Because unless you're making $4 million a month and you are like that version of that person yet, there's something, there's so many things for me still. And we'll talk through some of those examples. Action forces you to confront who you believe you are, right? So the actions, they don't just test your skills, dude, they test your self-worth. When you take action, you are then at risk for rejection, judgment, failure, so many scary things, but also you take a risk that you might find success. And if your identity is not strong enough to hold all those outcomes, your system will pull you back into safety. So it's not a weakness, it's your conditioning. You have to strengthen your identity. But we don't. What ends up happening is we keep the same identity. So we make the same decisions, so we do the same behaviors, and we get the same results. And this is the loop where people live. And what people try to do is they try to change the result over and over and over and over and over. They might even try to change this. Okay, I'm just going to do this, but they never change these things, right? So every time the pressure shows up over here, they fall back to who they've always been. So if you want different results, something deeper has to change first. And this is exactly what I'm going to talk about, this level today. So there's always a gap. There's always this gap between who you are now and who your goals require you to be. So as your goals get bigger and your vision gets bigger, the gap gets bigger. And who you start to become starts to fill that space, and you're always pushed to grow. So at first, maybe you want to quit your corporate job, you want to make $5K a month in this space, that'd be good. Okay, little goal, little gap, right? Fill the identity with that. The gap to be a 7-figure CEO is a lot bigger, right? It looks different. A lot more identity work, a lot more things in there. This gap is where all of your fear lives, where all of your doubt shows up, where all of your old patterns try to pull you back. And it's never because you're incapable. It's always because you just haven't become that person yet, right? Who do I need to be? The growth feels unsafe always before it feels empowering. even like just preparing, a small example of just like going through this morning all week thinking, all right, how do I, want to think about this? How do I want to show up? How do I want to deliver for these guys? All of that still feels unsafe. It's not until I do a couple practice runs of the talk and I go, damn, I'm good at this. This is going to feel good. Then it feels really empowering. I'm going to give them a really great message today, right? But there's always that feeling of like, oh, I don't want to do this. It's like, it's in your body, doesn't feel good. It's always, always, always going to feel unsafe before it feels empowering because your nervous system does not care about your goals. It cares about keeping you safe. So anything unfamiliar, even something really good, it's perceived as a threat. So when you start growing, your system tries to protect you by pulling you back. This is why growth feels very emotional. Raise your hand if you've cried about your business in the last 30 days. That's why growth feels very emotional. It's why it feels chaotic in your nervous system. The swirling thoughts, the inability to turn it off at night. Anyone do that? Anyone like think about their business the most at 3 a.m.? It's because you're growing, right? That's why it often feels really unstable. It doesn't mean you're wrong. It doesn't mean this is wrong. It just means it's really hard. You're choosing a hard path. You're choosing an unconventional path with tremendous upside. And it just means that you're in it. Like you're doing the exact thing you need to do if you want a phenomenal life and business. The stage though, the chaoticness, it's not a punishment. It's initiation. You don't get to have the freedom. You don't get to have a life where you get to talk about things that you want to talk about and transform people's lives without this. There has to be an initiation process to it, right? There has to be a thing that weeds people out. Otherwise, everyone would have this. Otherwise, nobody else would be working in a job that they disliked. Everyone would have the privilege that you have right now. Nobody gets that without this test. This phase that never ends. I hate to tell you, 13 years in, it doesn't end. The confusion, the fear, the resistance, all of those things, it's not a stop sign. It's not a, oh, I can't do that. It's a threshold. So you're going to hit them and then you're going to raise them. And then you're going to hit them and then you're going to raise them. Most people hit the threshold. Fuck, I can't do this. It's so much pressure. I don't like, it happens at every stage of your business. It happens with your first post. It happens with your first sales call. It happens with your first hire. It happens when you have a team of multiple people and then 4 people quit in the same week. And like, there's always going to hit a threshold. And usually people go, that's a stop sign, that's a sign. No, it's a threshold. Most people turn around, not because they can't go forward, but because they mistake that discomfort for danger. You're not going to die. There's nothing that's going to happen in your business that's going to kill you, I promise. But what will make you a stronger person is when you go, all right, I'm not going to die. What if I just try? What if I just do the next thing? This is where the identity is forged. This is where you start to create an identity around like, man, I can do anything. I am powerful. I am magical. Like, I'm just going to keep going. Like, no one can touch me. I'm a boss. It's by doing those things every single time you're hitting your threshold. And most coaches quit at this point because they try to change their life without changing themselves, right? They keep trying for the different result. And you will burn out that way. If you keep forcing action without addressing what is my internal resistance, why is my threshold here? You cannot discipline your way through this. You can't discipline your way through the fear. Discipline without the identity alignment is always going to collapse. You can't outwork a nervous system that doesn't feel safe in a situation. So, a question to start asking yourself is not how do I earn more? How do I grow more? How to scale the business? Screw all that. It's who do I need to become? When you stop asking, okay, what should I do next? And start saying, who do I need to become for this version of the business? For this thing I want, this goal that I want, who do I need to become? That is the identity question that starts changing your decisions, your boundaries, your consistency. And this is where you really start to become a leader that can hold more. And I think a lot of people, they think leader, they think CEO, they might think like loudest person in the room. The best CEO is the steadiest. It's the stuff we're talking about right now, right? So when you picture, all right, this successful person, you may picture confidence, certainty, dominance, maybe, but those are not the character traits that we're looking at and going like, oh, that's what's making them be able to do this, right? Like think of the person in your head that you admire that you're like, wow, I don't know how they do what they do. Like that, you outwardly may see are those traits, but what actually sustains the business are the CEOs who can stay grounded when everything's on fire, right? When results fluctuate, when emotions are running high, not just your own emotions, but the emotions of everyone around you. When things don't go as planned, stability is a skill, and it's one you have total control over to build, right? So if you're thinking, oh, that's not me, that's okay. Is the area for growth. Self-awareness. Self-awareness is the key component of leadership. If you cannot regulate yourself, you cannot lead anything. So self-awareness, I think we sometimes think like, okay, like prerequisite, like, we can all be self-aware. It's kind of just like a soft character trait. No, not really. It's a pretty strong one. It's the ability to notice your triggers, your avoidance patterns, your emotional regulation, without letting any of those things run the show. That's the great thing about business is all of this shows up in your business. To have a good business, you have to become a better person. Leaders who do not have this, who lack self-awareness, they're going to make reactive decisions. They're going to avoid every hard conversation. They're going to burn bridges in business without even realizing that they're doing it because their own triggers are taking, the driver's seat. But self-awareness really gives you a choice, and the choice is power, how you're leading. Pressure doesn't create weakness, it reveals it. So pressure doesn't make you something you're not, right? It's not like, oh, there was pressure and it proved I was too weak. That's not how this works. Pressure just exposes, okay, got to work on that a little bit, right? It just reveals something. And that's great because at every level of business, there's more and more and more and more and more and more and more pressure. Doesn't get easier. And you go, oh, woo, that's an area I haven't worked on yet. Why is this thing activating me? Why am I showing up like this? Why can't I sleep at 3 a.m. now because of the new thing? I just got over doing it on the old thing, but now, now I'm struggling with it here. When things get hard, what do? Do you shut down? Do you lash out? Do you disappear? Do you overwork in a busy way just to kind of numb, but you're not actually moving the things forward you need to do? What do you do, right? Then you reveal it. Oh, this pressure is making me do this. I have to fix that. And again, none of this makes you bad, right? Like I said, I still struggle with all of these things at the new levels that we uncover. It just shows you where growth is required. In emotional regulation, it allows you to stay in the game long enough to win. The whole goal of business is just stay in business. Eventually you will start winning. Don't do anything to burn it down, right? Don't let your own behaviors and patterns make you shut down, lash out, get anger, become a victim, any of these things that make you go, psh, I'm quitting. That's the only way you lose. We just have to be able to control our minds. And 2 really powerful traits to control your mind. 1, resilience, and 2, patience. People wildly underestimate how long success takes or should take, usually. Resilience is the willingness to just stay in the process, even when your results are inconsistent. The reason I love fitness business so much is because we all have this basis of fitness, right? Where we have had to do things when things were working towards us, were not working for us, right? Many of us have had a health journey, a weight loss journey where the results did not come for periods of time, but you didn't quit. If you did quit, maybe we need to have that conversation because you might be having a hard time getting your clients to stay on board. But resiliency, you guys know that. It's the same thing in business, the willingness to stay in the process even when the results are inconsistent. And then patience is trusting. Patience is trusting yourself, and the effort that you're putting in will compound even when you don't see it. Delayed gratification. Anyone struggle with that? It makes business really hard. I struggle with it big time. I'm so impatient. I want the results yesterday. It's trusting that the effort will compound even when you don't see it. So without these 2 traits, if you are not resilient, if you are not patient, good luck. You will panic. You will pivot too early. You will sabotage momentum. Anyone just go tweaking with things in their business because they feel like they need to be doing something when really we're just like, hey, if I just stayed patient and kept doing the same thing, it would work. Right? Don't sabotage yourself. Having these 2 things is how really good businesses usually die before they mature. Sometimes it's just like, okay, we're doing this thing and now we have to sit and do it for 90 days before we can even get any data to know if it's going to work. That's the name of the game. Courage. Courage is acting before you're ready. And caught myself in this recently, and I'll tell a little story about where my identity's been recently, but courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the willingness to move while the fear is still present. The CEO who is limitless. That, like I said, the one that's in your head that you're like, I don't even know how they do what they do, right? Like their business is 100 times bigger than me, 10 times bigger than me. I don't know how they would even do that. That person, they don't wait for confidence. Confidence doesn't come. You don't get confident and then do the thing. It doesn't work that way. You build confidence through action. So you do the thing and you go, I can do that thing, right? So you have to be courageous. You have to go, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just going to show up and I'm going to try, right? And the identity-led action means what you have to do. It's not really a fake it till you make it. I don't really like that phrase. If it works for you, cool. It never really has worked for me. For me, it's act in alignment with who I'm becoming, okay? Who do I need to be? I'm just going to act like that person rather than the person that I've, sitting with right now and identifying, not who I've been. So I'm going to act like this person rather than this stupid person that's telling me this story. Oh, you have a 7-month-old and she doesn't sleep and you're just tired and you have mom brain and these dumb things I tell myself. I'm not going to act like that person. That person doesn't run a $10 million company. I'm going to act like the person that I need to become. And this is how you create momentum sustainably. We all have an invisible ceiling and you're never going to out-earn your self-worth. We did a talk at Metabolic Mentor, Vince Pitstick. He threw a live event and Jordan and I did a talk on like the self-worth earning equation. And I said some bold things from that stage and it landed well because I didn't know. I was like, dude, everyone's going to hate me for my cockiness after this, or a few of them are going to like me. And I think I opened that talk with like, point blank, the reason I'm making more money as you is because I have higher self-worth than you do. And honestly, it's true. Like, it's uncomfortable. It's weird to say, but it is true. No matter how good your strategy is, your income will settle at a level that your identity feels safe sustaining. When you don't believe you're worthy, remember we go identity, beliefs, behaviors, decisions. When you don't believe you're worthy of something, you undercharge, you have behaviors that go. So you might undercharge, you hesitate to sell. Maybe you just hesitate to sell certain people, that awkwardness. Ooh, this person, seem to have more authority. Like this belief is under it. You avoid visibility, you sabotage your momentum. It's not a money problem, it's an identity problem. When you can't get past a certain point in business, you've got to be able to look in the mirror. It's something, a belief that you hold about yourself, about your offering, middle-class mindset thing, nobody has money. Like, what's the belief? What's the thing under that thing? Because you're stuck there, but not everyone is stuck there. So this is kind of what I was just referring to, actually. Beliefs, decisions, behavior, result. Every action you take is filtered through what you believe about yourself. So if you believe, they're not going to pay this. I'm not ready yet. Well, I don't want to seem pushy. Your behavior is going to reflect that belief. And you don't have to fight the behavior, which is what we all try to do. Okay, I'm just going to like show up and pitch the price, even though I don't believe it's worth it. You don't fight at the behavioral level. You fight at the belief level. So we have to question the beliefs over what is driving this behavior or not driving the behavior. Can't raise your prices. Why? Someone's charging more than you. Maybe their offer's better. Maybe they're better. Maybe they have a better, there's some reason. And that's okay. We got to work on the belief level. We can't just work on the behavioral level. We can't work on the decision level. None of that happens before results. Tactics fail when beliefs stay the same. So this is why tactics will work. And I've seen it time and time and time again inside of IFCA. People come in, they see great results. They're borrowing our beliefs. So the belief right here is great, but they're not their beliefs. So they're borrowing our beliefs. And so they do all the tactics with our beliefs. They work, and then they may leave the community, and then their shit stops working. Why? Because I'm going to hit record on my camera again. Sorry. Why? Because they return back to baseline. So they came in, they implement something new, they get this spike, and then they go back to their belief. Because your identity is going to pull you back to what feels familiar every single time. If you don't fight that thing and work on that thing, you're not going to rise to the level of your goals, even if you've gotten there before. This belief and this identity work is an everyday thing. Sustainable growth only happens when your beliefs evolve alongside your strategy. So mindset over mechanics, identity over information. Information, this is everywhere. What's rare, though, is the willingness to look inward rather than to look outward. So if you're trying to fix your business and you're constantly just here rather than here, it's not going to work. Most people, they just keep searching for this, the next tactic, the next thing, because it feels a lot safer than searching here in the identity work. But the work that changes everything always happens with you first. And so many people just will not do it because it's scary. But at some point, you just have to decide. You have to decide who you are. Nobody gives you this identity. You choose it, right? You choose what you're going to tolerate, how you respond under pressure, whether fear leads or whether it follows. Identity is not some kind of mindset trick. It's a series of decisions made consistently over time, and you are completely capable of making them. And I'll share a little story. Jordan and I were talking about this recently. We were talking about, my camera shut off. Why does it keep doing that? Here we go with the tech stuff. I told you, this is my biggest fear. I was like, I know my content is fire for you guys today. I'm so excited about the talk, but I am using a new camera, and I was like, that I am a little nervous about. We're just gonna do this. All right, at some point you decide who you are. And Jordan and I were having this conversation recently, and it was funny because I think the conversation prompt that I started with him, I was like, when did you start becoming confident? And we were just kind of talking through, points in our life when we decided. And this came up actually because our son, he has this identity around being a winner so badly that if we're playing a stupid, silly game like Uno and he starts to lose, he'll throw the cards and say, I'm not a loser. He'll quit and he'll cheat before he's not a loser. I love that about him. His identity is, I am a winner, and I'm just going to gather all the evidence to prove that I'm a winner. And Jordan goes, man, he gets that from you. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I hate that about myself. But if we're bowling or doing some stupid shit, I literally will quit before I lose because it challenges my identity. And I hate that because I'm a winner. And he's, we're just kind of having this conversation about where did that come from, right? And I said, well, Alex Hormozy talks about this. Confidence comes from stacking undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. And so I stacked a lot of that proof early on in my life, right? I decided who I was early on. In high school, basically. I had a lot of proof. I graduated at the top of my class. I did really good in sports. Fun fact, was voted most attractive in my senior class, which for a woman, that's a big win. That's proof you're a winner, right? And so I had all these things that were just I'm a winner, right? Pretty much completely up until my life. Of course, I've had things that have knocked me down. I got to college and I was ooh, graduate at the top of my class, small school, big fish, small pond. Got to college, this is harder, knocked me down a little bit, but I kept having to redecide throughout my life who I am, and I had a really strong base of who I am, and I just kind of went off of that. Jordan goes, you saying all that resonates with me a lot. He goes, I decided I was a loser. He's like, I got cut from my basketball team, I had to switch schools, I had a drug problem at one point in my life. He's like, I was stacking all this evidence in the opposite end that I'm a loser. And he's like, and I started to create an identity around that. My decisions, my behaviors, all the things we're talking about with you guys today. And I said, well, what changed? He's like, well, when I met you, I wanted to impress you and you had belief in me. He said, so I borrowed your belief and I just started stacking undeniable proof after that point. He's like, I started showing up. I started waking up earlier. I started, the decisions, the behaviors, all the things. I showed up online. Corey said I was the opposite of Erin. Jordan was the complete opposite of me. He said, I just started doing the things. I started doing the daily actions. I borrowed your belief in me until the things started to show. He said, now 8 years in, I've done a lot of things and I have a lot of proof around me to show hey, I am this is who I am. I've decided. And so what I'm sharing with you guys today, you can't look back and go, well, I've already decided who I am. No, you get to decide today, and you're going to have to read and redecide. One other quick story. I just had my second baby. And with my first kid, I didn't go through this. But with my second child, for some reason, full on identity crisis. I don't know why, but I don't know if it's because she's a girl. I don't know what happened. I've never struggled like this in my life. And I started to do the opposite thing again. Man, I have terrible mom brain. I'm just really dumb. I have no memory from before this child. I'm sleep deprived. I'm not who I said I was. My only strategic advantage used to be that I could work hard. Now I can't work hard. I can't work the evenings. I just started stacking all this evidence of who I am. And I've been in a slump since having my child because I've been doing this. And it's so easy. It goes off track so easily. But it's actually also, I hate to oversimplify this, it's also so easy to fix it. All you have to do is go, shit, I'm doing it. Oh, I'm creating this whole story that I suck now, and that's manifesting in something sucking, and all I have to do is stop telling myself the story and just go the other way. Decide who I want to become today. I did that about 6 weeks ago, and it's changed everything in my life. Just going oh, okay, you know what? cool, I suck. Maybe my business sucks. All I have to do is change it. Not to oversimplify, but that's literally all you have to do in that moment. And then you start taking the daily actions. So like there's like, ooh, let me share with you this one mindset trick. It's an identity overhaul, but you have to like recognize you're in it. You have to recognize that that's the difference between you and somebody else who's getting results and you're not. All right, back to the main topic. Fear is not a stop sign. Most people treat fear as a warning. They're like, this is telling me to stop. No, it's pointing us in the exact place where we need to grow. If you can think of fear as your compass, anytime you're like, ooh, feels kind of, ooh, man, that means I need to do it. If you can just take that general rule in every area of your life, if you're in the weight room and you're like, feels like I should put on more weight, you should probably do it if you don't want to do it. Feels like I need to do this thing that I see someone else in the community doing, that my success coach is telling me to do, I don't want to, probably should. Fear is pointing you in the exact direction where you need to go because it's signaling growth. If something scares you, anything at all, taking responsibility, having a hard conversation, hiring someone before you're like not even sure what the plan for growth is in your business, raising your prices, selling on a call or to a particular person, being visible, posting it online, it does not mean it's the thing you should stop doing. It's probably the thing that matters the most. It's probably the very thing you should be doing. Most people don't though. Most people, they stay paralyzed. They just wait. They wait to feel ready. And like I said, confidence is not a prerequisite for action. Confidence is a result of action. If you wait to feel certain, you just stay stuck indefinitely. Every CEO, every business owner, every coach you admire took action when they were uncertain. The difference is not they're brave, I'm not brave, they're confident, I'm not confident. Because again, confidence doesn't come until you do the thing. If you look at someone, you're like, man, they're confident. Yeah, because they've done the thing. That's confidence comes from competence. And so you have to act as if, get through, just, you have to be brave, have courage, do it, and then you get your confidence. It's just willingness. It's not like, oh, I be brave. It's just stepping in the arena. It's literally just doing it. And you're never, ever going to feel ready. If you've never done something before, why would you feel ready? If you haven't done it several times, why would you feel ready? We think the feedback loop has to go, okay, cool, feel ready, feel confident, and go. And it's actually the reverse order. But I do want to clarify something about like massive action that I think gets confused when I'm like, do it. It's not, that doesn't mean like do everything. That doesn't mean, okay, just fucking put your head down and grind and work a 14-hour day. You will burn yourself out like that. You will just stay constantly busy. It means identifying what are you avoiding and doing that. Like sometimes it's just the massive action is just eating the frog first thing in the morning. When I think about all the things I'm supposed to do in my business, what's the one I want to do the least? Just do that. That's your win. The one thing, right? The one follow-up I need to make, the one hard conversation I need to have, the one direct call to action, the one thing that I'm afraid of because it challenges my identity, just do that. That is how you create momentum without creating chaos. You're not going to do all the things. That's not what massive action means. So when your identity does start to shift, this actually all gets easier. It always cracks me up when people are like, oh, I don't want to build a bigger business. And I'm like, well, why? And they think it's going to be harder. In a lot of ways, it gets easier because the hard stuff is the identity stuff. When you start to work on the identity, your decisions get cleaner, your boundaries get firmer, the action all gets simpler. Because you just stop negotiating with fear. You just simplify things. You won't overthink. You won't spiral. Because it's a very clear filter and lens that you're looking through. Who am I becoming, right? Who do I want to become? Not who am I trying to protect? So in my own personal example, who do I want to become? All right, I want to step in. I want to be this grounded leader. I want to be this person who does not have postpartum anxiety, who's not acting like they got 4 hours of sleep last night. Then stop trying to protect that girl, right? You have to choose who you want to become, not who you want to protect. Since I had my daughter, my mindset was, season of life, not getting much sleep, my hormones, biggest hormonal drop that any woman could ever go through. So I can totally understand why I'm feeling this way, acting like I was protecting the shit out of her. But how far do you think that's going to get me? You have to choose who you want to become. All those things can be true, and I can also act like this. I can feel miserable, and I can still show up like this. That's the identity work, because then as I show up like that, I gain confidence, which makes everything easier, not harder when you show up like that. And again, it's not a fake it till you make it. It's who do I want to be? How do I want to show up? Who do I want to act like? I can be this person who doesn't feel good and still act like this person. And what it comes down to, it's just like the massive action. It's The one thing, identify the one thing, do the one thing. Then do the next brave thing and then do it again, right? You don't need to get off this call and go, whew, all right, I need to overhaul my whole life, my whole identity. So let's take me back to high school and how I used to think in high school. And like, you're not like rewriting the whole past. You're just starting today. So all you need to do is just take one action today that aligns with the person you're becoming. And then tomorrow, do it again. And then tomorrow, do it again. Then the next day, do it again. The next day, do it again. The next day, do it again. Takes a long time. It's long, boring work. I'm talking about an identity shift. I'm talking about becoming a new person. This isn't like a snap your fingers and it's going to happen. It compounds. Like in Jordan's story, 8 years. Like he could look at himself and go, wow, I'm a wildly different person than I was 8 years ago. This is how your identity is really built. Slowly, intentionally, repeatedly, making a decision and going after day. I'm just going to do the next brave thing and then I'm going to do it again. But before we rush into that, I just want you to pause for a minute. I want you to think about all right, here's what I want to go do, right? I just want you to notice what landed in this talk. Growth, it doesn't come from consuming more. It comes from integrating what you already know. So think about this for a second. Just take a quick breath. Let this settle, what we're talking about here today. You don't need more information. Some of these concepts are very, very, very simple. I want it to feel simple because I want you to be able to just move forward with it. And this is the question I really want you to sit with, not for the next 5 minutes, but like literally every day. So I would love for you, this is your one action item here. Who do I need to become to hold the life that I want? Life/business. You're all creating these businesses so you can have the life you want. And so others can have the life they want, but hopefully you're doing it for yourself. Who do I need to become to hold the life I want? And I want this right here I want you to create a system so that every day you can look at it, whether that means you put it on a sticky note, put it on your computer, or fun little thing I've been doing recently is you can ask ChatGPT to give you a reminder every single morning. So you can answer this question and say, Chat, send me a reminder, push notification every morning at 9 a.m. and tell me this, right? Something. Create a system in your life. Who do I need to become to hold the life that I want? Answer that. This is your homework. Who do I need to become when things do not go my way, when I feel behind, when fear shows up? Who do I need to become? And just think about it. Journal on it. If you're really willing to go here, some uncomfortable shit might come up. I've done this before with people and they're like, holy shit, I have to get a divorce. Ooh, that's hard. Yeah, that's like a hard road to navigate. But if you're out of alignment, you're out of alignment. Here comes a boy in his underwear.
My pants are too long.
Your pants are too long. Here, you want to just say hi to people? There's 2 doors that go in my office, and one is locked and one is not, and he snuck in. And these little booby stickers, we call them, he's obsessed with them. He carries them around everywhere.
I want some.
Well, you have to go back with Gigi.
I have some, please.
Sorry, guys. It can be a brutally truth when you go, all right, who do I have to become? Because you have to audit your whole life. If your relationship sucks, it's dragging you down. If you have friends who suck, you have to let them go. If your health sucks, good luck in the health and fitness industry, guys. Good luck attracting clients, right? There might be some uncomfortable things that you have to look at when you ask yourself this question. And maybe some of it's not that deep. Maybe some of it's more surface, but maybe I need to stop being a people pleaser. Maybe, I feel hard conversations that I have that could improve my life and I just don't turn that way. Who do I need to become? I want you to really sit with this and ask yourself this question and put it somewhere that you can really impact your life. Because if you ask yourself this every single morning and you're brutally honest with yourself, your life will get better, your identity will change, and your business will get so much easier. You can choose to avoid it. Most people do, right? You can get on this call and be like, okay, cool, rah, good talk, Erin, I'm going to get back to work. That's okay. Maybe you're not ready. Most people will do that. And again, the 1% don't, which is why it works so well. You can keep asking yourself, what are the secrets? What do they have that I don't have? I'm telling you right now, it's this. Most people would rather just stay busy doing the things than do this stuff. They will tweak tactics for years without addressing the real things that are holding them back. This work is not common. Most, you're not going to go to a business conference and find this. Most people aren't going to tell you this. It's powerful though. And the fact that you are here, it does put you in a different category than the rest, right? The fact that you're here is showing that you want to grow, that you care, right? I promoted this call. there's no tactics here. You're not going to come. You're not going to learn some things. It's like, it's not a sexy thing to think about. It's deep. It's hard work. And it doesn't feel like you're making a lot of progress. You just got to show up every day consistently. And I want to share this too. You don't have to do it alone, right? And you were never meant to do it alone. This is one of the hardest parts of entrepreneurship. And this is why I created IFCA, because I know how isolating it can feel. For 5 years of entrepreneurship, I didn't have a single entrepreneur friend because I was introverted, because I hid behind my computer. When I started talking to people about business, I was like, oh my God, imagine if I had these friends, and if we could all be friends and we could all be community, when I could have people to talk about like this, right? This exists so you don't have to navigate this stuff alone. And you don't have to be perfect with doing all of this. You just have to be willing. And we are here to help you, to walk you through it as you become the people that this requires. We're all here for you. I'll say this too. You already have what it takes. And I say that not because this is easy. This is not easy work, but because you're willing. You're all here. You all showed up. You've all invested money in yourself. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's really, all right, this no longer fits. This no longer serves me. I'm recognizing that victim over there that I kept protecting because she didn't get enough sleep, because she's a new mom, because she needs grace. I'm just going to get rid of that. I'm going to shed these layers of my identity. That's the work that you start doing. And then you rise above. So it's a lot more elimination than it is, all right, I need to go learn to do that, learn to do this. Just like, what's dragging you down within yourself, within the people around you. And then from there, you stay in it. You stay in it. You stay brutally honest with yourself. You stay courageous. And you just trust that who are you becoming is enough to carry what you want. All right, that's all I got. So I would love to transition over to Q&A. Of course, this took longer than I thought it would, but I can stay a little bit past the time. And so I would love to kind of just talk about anything that, if you have a specific question, great. If it's a question about tactics, I'm going to steer it away. I'm going to ask you how you feel about it. We're going to work through it like that. If you have a specific question, you can put a 1 in the chat. If you have a revelation or this thing came up for me as you were saying that, I would love to hear that too. Am I the only one who can't hear him?
No, I can hear.
Okay. Brandon, we can't hear you. I don't know if I would just check your audio.
Yep, that's my mic.
There you go.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
So I know you talked about a lot about who you're becoming, and it should be less about more strategy, more systems. And so I guess I kind of get stuck in like not seeing the results I want to see, putting all the effort in, always seeking, how can I refine things? How can I change this? How can I change that? I'm sure you get stuck in that kind of mindset. So I guess, how do you let some of that stuff go and continue to focus on your self-development and becoming who you need to be?
Yeah. The reason the results aren't coming is because of the other thing, right? So within a reasonable time frame. Sometimes the answer is like, sometimes you guys come to call and you're like, I've been doing this for 3 hours and it's not working. Not really. But like sometimes you just haven't like given enough time horizon. It's like, I've been doing this for 30 days. Well, 30 days isn't like, depending on what we're talking about, that great of a test. So check your timelines. But if you're like, dude, I've been trying the same thing for 12 months consistently and something's not working, it's a problem with you. And that's a really harsh truth, which is like kind of what the whole talk was about. And so that's where you got to look inward and go, all right, not what's wrong with me, but like, who do I need to become? Okay. If I compare myself to other person who's been doing it for 12 months, who are they that I'm not, right? What are they doing that I'm not? And then, but so often we're not willing to like turn it back to us. And as I say this, you're not going to have probably a thing that comes to mind right now. This is like a soul searching thing you're going to have to do.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
Because you have the same, is there an example where you're like, I've been trying for a year and X isn't working?
I think it's just the same, like the lead generation type stuff, testing different ads, nurturing leads, hitting KPIs you want to hit. So I'm trying to figure out who I can become to make my leads come in, more leads come in or whatever the case may be. So are you talking more organizational, structural type stuff, qualities, or more like how you're showing up for people on sales calls, or is it a mixture of things, or is it different for everybody?
Different people have different things, right? That's why I like the one-to-one comparison. Something you might realize if you go, okay, this person's ads are working and these aren't, you might go, wow, they're wildly more charismatic than me. They show up better on camera, they smile, they have better body language, they're a way better communicator. And that's a look inward thing, right? That's not a let me take a class on communication. All right, fuck, I probably have 2 years to get to where they're at. And like, how do I practice that every single day? Or like, you know, in our industry, this is unfortunately true. That person is a lot more ripped than I am. It's flashy. It gets attention. Maybe I need a six pack. Like, not always, right? Depending on your offer and stuff. But there's some shit within ourselves that we have to look at and go, why are they attracting the thing and I'm not attracting the thing? Why is their offer better? Well, because they have more confidence and conviction behind it, because they've helped 1,000 people and I've helped 10, you know? Like they have, you know, there, a lot of that is like the deeper identity work. Not always. Sometimes it's like, oh, pull this lever, do this thing, watch this training. But sometimes it's the stuff we don't want to admit to ourselves.
Another thing, if I could add, a thing of is what I'm doing right or am I completely doing something wrong, is if you're making progress in an area and it's getting better, even if it's marginal or slow, that means you're doing the right things. It's a time horizon issue.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you're not making any progress at all, period, for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, then it's like you're absolutely doing something wrong. And usually, anytime I talk to you guys, you're making progress. So you are doing the right things. Like, how can I collapse the time horizon to get there quicker? And usually, our frustrations are from the timing that we think it should take.
Which comes back to the patience thing, right? Patience and resilience.
The patience is the worst part.
Oh, 100%. None of this comes fast, but fast money goes fast too.
Thank you.
Reese, are you still on?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I can't hear you now. I feel like your mic's just a little, it feels like muffled.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I had to move myself a little closer. Sorry about that. So I was saying that a lot of my struggle is more in, like, it feels like I am successful when I can actually get on the phone, outreach to people, guys, the ads, all of that. Everything is working, but it's like so badly to do the simple things. As soon as I can actually realize that I can help their problem, it lands.
Yep.
So
Yep.
there's like this, I'm really like in cement, dragging myself to get on those calls. And then it works out. And I find myself always coming back to like that cement in my feet. Is there anything that you suggest? Is it just a matter of getting more reps?
Kind of. Yeah. I think it's really understanding the one thing that I said about confidence isn't the prerequisite to action. Confidence comes after the action. So what you're telling me is I'm waiting for the action, but then I do the action, I have the feeling. It happens action, feeling, action, feeling, action, feeling, action, feeling every time. So that, oh, I'm in the mud, I don't want to do this, just ignore it, honestly, because the feeling will change after you take the action. You don't have to feel any type of way to do it. In fact, you're going to feel terrible. You're going to feel unsafe. You're going to feel danger. That's cool. It's just the belief of, okay, I recognize that. Cool, put it in a box, do anyway. And then you start feeling better. In my experience, it only gets louder and it only gets worse because the stakes only get higher. Like if I told you guys some of the problems that I've had to deal with in business in the last couple of years and really put yourself there, your nervous system would go haywire. Mine still does that. I just have to go, all right, doesn't matter, right? I'm going to take the action and I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm not going to die, right? My nervous system, my programming is saying scary, danger, red alert. You're wrong. This is not a saber-toothed tiger. I am fine. Just do it. Who cares, right? Nobody's dying today.
No one's going to die at your job. You can take some. So, all right. I need to put this in my own head.
And then, you've got a name of the game is like regulating your nervous system, because if you are constantly operating from a fight or flight and you're like, okay, and ignore it, massive action, it's going to manifest in hormonal issues, autoimmune diseases, all kinds of the shit that our functional health people then come in and solve. So you have to like work on yourself. You have to go on that like mindfulness journey and like do that stuff to learn to quiet that and deal with it. But like, it's never like, oh, I've reached such competency that those thoughts don't enter my brain anymore.
So part of me is my business is going through because I had to do this so many years, and like now I'm actually trying to really go after it, go wholehearted in. That's why I'm diving, and like my feet are to the fire, and I'm nervous about that stress bringing my autoimmune back. If that makes sense.
Sounds to me like a really high stakes to fix that, like work through that. Managing stress is just a skill.
Yeah, I mean I'm getting better at it, but it's still there.
For sure. It's a never ending skill for me, and I'm learning new things all the time. New things at new levels activate me, depending on where I'm at. It was really bad after I just had a baby. My whole biology changed. And I was like, wait, I'm not working with the same brain anymore. All the tools that used to work don't work anymore. And you got to adapt and gain new tools. It's either that or quit, you know? Like you will get to a point where you're like, I can't do this because I can't handle it. The pressure's too much. So like we have to adapt.
Yes. 100%. Thank you.
Yeah, Vanessa.
I just would like your thoughts around this because I know that I'm getting in my own way in this area, meaning I've been growing within a comfortable range, but my thought has always been I don't want to have, like, it's all just my business. I'm the only person. I'm the one that's in control of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really think that the desire to not have employees or all that is limiting me, but it very much is, because I know if I start doing too well, I wonder, well, where would I take that? Because if I don't have a plan to grow, why would I sell, I guess? Because I know when I want something in life, I make it happen. So I'm questioning, how do I actually know if I would, like, my gut is that I don't want to have a team of people, but I don't, how would I know if I actually want that or don't want that? Or if I am limiting myself by having that desire, I would imagine it has to be true that not everyone wants to manage a team of people, or is that just a false belief in my head?
Yeah, you're thinking about the features of well, that's not the right way to put this. People don't go. Last time we talked about this, I kind of related it to parenting, which I think landed for you. I don't think the right way to think about parenting is, do I want kids? It's, do I want to be a mom, right? The upside of that and the responsibility as well that is, rather than like the kids feel like the accessory to the vision. So I don't think the right question is, do I want team members? It's, do I have this massive vision for my company? Is there a mission and a problem that feels like I gotta solve this, I've got to fix it in the world? And then does that require additional support and people inside of it? Because if this is your driver and like the mission and the vision and the thing I've got to do, that's what's going to carry you through the hardness of managing the people. Does that make sense? And there's not a right or wrong answer. You might be, I'm fulfilling my mission right now, it's fine. And if you come to that, then I think that's your answer.
Because I guess I feel like you can touch a lot of people well, or you can nail it with one person.
Yeah,
Like, it's the difference of, do you want to have one kid or 8
totally.
kids? You know what I mean? So I guess that, but I feel like for some reason, just even not knowing what, I guess to me, if someone said, do you want to have 1 kid versus 8, I'd be like, I mean, I have 4, but I'm like, what would it, let me go hang out with someone so I can see if I actually want it.
Yeah.
That's what is like, I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what your day-to-day life is. I don't know what you do every single minute of the day.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So if that's the only thing holding you back, I don't know what it looks like. That's just the journey of entrepreneurship. You won't know until you take that next step. And you can always go back. Oh, I don't like this. I'm going to let these people go and I'm going to downsize my business.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
Can't do that with kids. Can't be like, I don't like this, I'm going to give this one away.
No. Okay. Thank you.
Paul.
So, interested on your take on the difference between creating a safe space for myself and letting go of things that no longer serve me. So, an example would be alcohol. Crushes my energy, crippling self-doubt, probably the most depressed I'll ever be. In the same vein, I've really identified Instagram as something I need it for business, but I find myself running to the comments and adopting, oh, here's what the majority of people are, shiny objects. Now I'm shopping eBay for sports cards. And essentially, it's this like environment that creates so many impulse control things that I'm trying to work on. So at what point is it a net negative? Build a strategy from a business standpoint.
Yeah.
Or is this just like, Paul, you're asking?
Yeah, I think, the question doesn't have to be, do I have Instagram or not Instagram? Because you should have it as a producer, but as a consumer, you can absolutely not have it, right? And so
just leading it off my phone and just only
I was gonna That's good. I was going to give you some more kind of tactics around that. One thing I do is I put a time limit on my phone every day, and then the app shuts off after a certain amount of time. So I'm like, I know I've only got 30 minutes on here. So if I'm going to waste it scrolling, I'm going to waste my day, and I'm not going to be able to like do the thing I need to do for my business. There was another one I was going to give you. Oh, you could, I've had friends do this. They delete every single person they're following, and their following says 0, so that when they're on there, all they can do is produce. But then those same friends, they like have a burner account, and then they end up doing the same thing. So right, like it's self-control. We have to like work around those things, but there are definitely things you can do. But I would say it's probably a net negative to go, I need to get rid of this app entirely. But I would start doing some of those things. Good question though. I'm gonna butcher your name. Prab?
Yeah, you got it right.
Nice.
Sorry, I'm just getting ready as I go. But because I'm kind of in the same boat as you are. I'm due in like 5 days.
But I was gonna say something, but you can never ask a woman if she's pregnant. But I'm like, I'm pretty damn sure.
I am ready. But I'm kind of in a little bit of, it's a great problem to have, is where I kind of found my identity during the pregnancy. We joined with you guys as I was getting pregnant, and then I found that this was kind of the area I wanted to take. And right now the business is doing really well. Traction is great. I'm doing it with my husband. He's got a different ICA, but he's helping me with like getting the DMs going. I'm still doing report calls and sales calls. So my question is kind of like, when you had your kids, when did you stop and think, okay, I'm a mom now? And what was your kind of recovery of like, because that's the fear I'm having now. Does my identity go away, or is my business going to get put on pause because now I'm skipping 2 weeks because I've given birth. I'm taking care of this person, and kind of how did that identity shift of like the first one for Jax was like, oh, I felt like it was easier versus now, oh my God, this is so hard. Like, was it an environment thing that was easier for you to cope with or deal with, or was this one just harder because you were at a different stage in business?
Yeah. Is this your first?
This is, yeah.
Oh boy, you're about to go through the best identity transformation ever. And nothing about me sharing my experience is gonna help you or prepare you. Nothing will. But I've had a lot of friends and people reach out to me with this recently who are like about to enter motherhood. And the one thing I say that seems to land and like helps people find a little peace and solace is like, you're gonna change so much. You're not even gonna recognize this version of yourself. And that sounds scary for a lot of people, and like especially like high performing intelligent people like you seem to be. You're like, all right, well, let me like hack it and figure it out and get ahead of it. There's none of that, because you have no idea who this person is. You have no idea how she's going to think and operate and all the things. But your capacity is just going to be open up and expanded. You're going to like that person so much more, because you're going to realize, oh shit, I don't even like know who I was before. Now I have to like know who I am, because like this thing just happened to my body, and like I just like, or my whole hormonal system changed, my whole biology, and now like I'm just a different person who has to care for a human now. You're going to be such a different person, and everything's going to change, and you're not going to care. You're not going to care, because it's all going to change for the better. You're going to find what the business and motherhood thing looks like for you. And it looks differently for everyone. So like it was differently for me from one kid to another kid. It's different for me now than it was 6 months ago, but like it's a problem just worth solving. So when you're there and you like need to solve that problem, it's going to come from this place of like, wow, I'm so glad I did this. This is the best thing I've ever done in my whole life, and I'm happy to be solving this problem now. You're going to solve it just fine, but me sharing my experiences, you're going to get there and you're like, it's just not going to matter. Like everyone can share their experiences with you. There's just nothing anyone can say that's going to make you be like, okay, I'm going to do it that way, because there is no playbook. You just got to go with your intuition. Sorry, I know that's like not super helpful. I could do a podcast on my 2 experiences, and like maybe there's a nugget in there, but that would be like a 45-minute breakdown.
Well, I think it kind of goes to play on the behaviors of different kids. When people have, I'm a sibling of 4 kids, we all turn out different. And is it because our parents were at different stages of life, or they were different people when they were raising us?
Right.
And so it's kind of like, and that kind of goes back for me. It's like, okay, if I'm handling the business one way, is my child going to be like this because, oh, mom spent so much time doing this? And the second one, oh, I might have had more financial freedom, or my identity was different. So then the kid turned out different. Or like, how do I handle the business if I'm pushing me or holding me on the other side, right?
Yeah. I would bet $10,000 that you could ask 10,000 people that question. No one has an answer. Like, it's like, how do you do parenting the right way? Nobody knows the answer to that question, right? The fact that you're even wondering that, though, says you're going to be an amazing parent. You're going to figure this out. Like, do you think your parents were on Zoom calls asking that question? I know mine weren't.
All right, I'll take it.
Yeah, you're going to be fine. But like, there's just no answer to that. Parenting is trial by fire, very similar to entrepreneurship. You're going to get up to every milestone and say, well, what do I do now? Like, you're trying to plan for one baby that hasn't come yet and it's new and its sibling who hasn't come after that. And how do you be the best parent? You're going to be fine.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Do we have any more questions? I think we're good. All right, guys, thanks for hanging in there with me. Please remember your homework. I really would love for you guys to take this seriously. I'm going to copy the question in here if you didn't get it. Contemplate this, please. Be brutally, brutally, brutally honest with yourself. This is going to do so much more for you going into the new year than any like, all right, let me set my 2026 goals. We don't rise the level of our goals. We fall to our identity, right? So who do I need to become? That's cool. Thanks so much, guys. See ya.